Now we go to the next step. Next, the teacher of God must go through a, quote, a period of sorting out. This is always somewhat difficult because having learned that the changes in his life are always helpful, he must now decide all things on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. He will find that many, if not most of the things he valued before, will merely hinder his ability to transfer what he has learned to new situations as they arise. Because he has valued what is really valueless, he will not generalize the lesson for fear of loss and sacrifice. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. It is only to the extent to which they are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them in this world of illusion. The world, quote, value, unquote, can apply to nothing else.
Do you have an example of that in the middle of that paragraph? I seem to need an example.
You mean like the one, it takes great learning, and I think it's true. Does it take great learning to understand? And this is the same thing as in the Bible. It says all things are for good, or what does it say? Good comes from all things.
For the good of those that believe.
Yes, and it says that in the text too. It says,
yeah.
So he's saying the same thing. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. And they're helpful not to your ego getting its idle wishes met, obviously, or for things turning out according to your plan, but they're helpful in awakening you. They can be used by the Holy Spirit to awaken you to truth and out of the illusion. So that's the way in which they're helpful. So if you're too attached to something, it gets taken away. Now that seems like a disaster. But if you're too attached to something in this world of illusion, you want to get unattached to it. So it's helpful. It's actually helpful it was taken away. Or the person leaves you. It's actually helpful if you can look at it right. But he says it takes great learning. It takes great learning, and that's the point. When we trust, to get to this level of trust as an advanced teacher of God, but when we trust that all things that happen are helpful, you can see why you would have a great deal of trust then. You can just walk around and let things happen. You don't have to be, right? So we'll get there someday.
What about that very last
The word value can apply to nothing else?
Apply to nothing else?
He says the only thing of value, he's trying to say, is what helps you wake up. Your perceptions that help you wake up. Having things work out in your life isn't really valuable because you valued, let's say, that if I do this, if I have that house, then that's valuable. Or if I get that job, or if I have that relationship. If they're not used to wake you up, they have no value. If the plan of salvation and our only happiness is in who we really are, if whatever's going on in your life isn't a part of waking up, it isn't doing anything for you but keeping you stuck here. So that's what he's saying.
How do you decide in each instance?
That's what the perception shifts are about. If you don't think something is helpful in waking you up and you're actually in distress because you really what you're saying is, what I wanted to happen isn't happening and I'm mad.
Yeah.
Then you're not. Yeah, that's you. Now you want to ask, well, but show me how I'm wrong, that this is actually helpful. If I see it the right way, this is going to help me wake up.
Yeah. Kind of
and that's about, now this whole thing that I thought was a disaster or justified my anger will only justify my love because it's waking me up to the fact I didn't need that thing, or I didn't need that person to do that, or I didn't. So that's, he says, that the word value can apply to nothing else but those perceptions that help you wake up. The events are just the background to help you choose perceptions to wake up from all these things you think you need and who you think you are and what relationships you think you need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it looks like the only way you discover the difference is to have some kind of pain, have something screwed up or something wrong.
Well, we don't have to have the pain, but the problem is we will because we're attached. Now, if we weren't attached to anything in this world and we had perfect trust, we could just walk around and let things happen and still be happy that, somebody left us or we lost our job. Well, hey, that's not important, I'm fine. I'm happy. The reason we experience pain when those things happen is because we're attached to them. And now, he's saying, those things really weren't valuable of themselves. It's only as you see them right that they will have any value. Because if you see them right, you see, I'm fine even though that happened. That's what he's trying to say. Our new perceptions are what you want to value, is perceptions that reflect the truth that the Course is saying, so you begin to develop a trust that that truth is the real truth. And all these things in your life were just illusions that you had to have.